When this little kid, yes, that's me, got the idea of making money, the go-to money-making method was mowing lawns. So it was only right that when I started this channel, I would go way back and give this OG money-making method another try. Coincidentally, my friend Jacob, who lives 175 miles away in Seattle, had clients that he'd been mowing lawns for recently. So I booked a flight that was leaving in a few weeks because, let's be honest, YouTube doesn't pay me all that well yet, so I couldn't really book a flight for that same exact day.
Knowledge.
We're about 12 minutes away from the airport. It shows that we're going to be there at 6:25, so that means we have about an hour and 5 minutes before the flight leaves. It's supposed to be about an hour flight flying from PDX, Portland Airport, to Seattle, Washington. How are you?
Good, man. How you doing?
All right, so I just landed in Seattle. My boy Jacob just picked me up. What do we got for today? Let us know. Give us the spiel.
We got 5 lawns. First client, they're gonna be like less than an hour. They're gonna be right next to my house. Once we finish them up, we're gonna go to my sister's house. She lives like 8 minutes away from my house. There I have like 3 clients right next to her house. One's like an hour and a half, the other one's an hour, third one's an hour. One of them's a new client, so that should be interesting. Finish the day off, we're gonna go like a half an hour drive to Federal Way and mow our last lawn.
I guess out of these 5 clients that we're going to be doing, what's going to be the quickest one? I know you said the first one's going to be an hour. Do you think that's going to be the quickest one?
That one should be the quickest one, but the homeowner likes to come out, talk to me, so usually it takes an hour. They also pay the least, so I try and keep it short.
If you need help, just holler at me. I'll come in and hurry it up a little bit.
So the longest lawn I actually enjoy the most. They pay pretty well. They're awesome people.
Is it that 5-acre lot down the street?
Yeah. 100%. I do a really nice pattern. They're always happy with my work, and it's, in this business, in any business really, where you have clients, you always appreciate the ones that appreciate your work. I love doing their lawn the most. They pay pretty well. They're always appreciative. So that one usually takes like an hour, 15 hour and a half. Their lawn's really enjoyable to do.
What do you think about the clients that tend to come out and just kind of stare at you the whole time when you're working?
I definitely have like 1 or 2 of those picky ones. They're like, can you pull these weeds? Can you do that? Can you do that? Like, they always want to like add something before I start. You also got to know your self-worth at that point. You feel like they're asking for too much, you just bump up the price if they're not happy with it. And at the end of the day, I'm just there to mow lawns. If they want me to do some extra like flower bed cleanup, that's for me to decide. I don't have to take that on. So biggest thing is you got to be communicative. You got to communicate with your clients when you're coming, what time. You also got to show up on time. So if you're running late, you just tell them you're running late. What I usually do, I give myself like a 2-hour span. An example, I'll stop by tomorrow morning around 10 to 11 a.m. I give myself like a 2-hour span of when I can show up. I don't say I'm gonna be here 10:30. That's, you're cutting it really close for yourself. I estimate how long each lawn's gonna take, and I just do like by the hour. So I'll show up 10 to 11. Next client I'll show up from 11 to 12. Next client I'll show up 12 to 1. Something like that.
10 miles later, we arrived at the first client's house, and the yard wasn't too big, probably around 4,000 square feet.
Step 1, trim the edges.
Always gotta clean up.
All right, what's happening here?
This is a string weed whacker. I use it to trim and to edge the lawn. Just had my line run out. Just gotta replace the line.
How often do you usually have to replace this?
About every 4 to 5 work days.
Step 2, mow the lawn. Step 3, sit on your phone for 1 hour.
My 4-step process, what I've learned through trial and error. I go around, I trim with the weed whacker, trim, edge, that's 1 step. I go through like I just did. I just cut the grass. Doesn't matter how I cut it, as long as it's cut. And then the 3rd step is to make a design out of the grass I just cut. So now I'm gonna go in with a diagonal angle, make it like it has more depth. And then the final step is gonna be, I just clean up with a blower, get all the grass off the cement. That's my 4-step process. Alright, so whenever lawnmower gets full of grass, for these houses right next to my house, we have a chicken coop, so I just dump it for the chickens, they eat it. Otherwise, usually I dump it in the client's yard waste. I do have one client, he has me load up the truck of all his grass, and then I just dump it at our house. Of course, I charge him extra for that. So it's like a whole cycle. I mow lawn, I get paid, My parents are happy. Chickens have food.
Did you say your parents are happy?
Yeah. Chickens are happy. Parents are happy.
This project took a total of about 45 minutes to complete and paid $30, so not bad at all for 45 minutes worth of work. What's the furthest have you traveled, or I guess what's the cap for mileage that, you know, that you're willing to drive somewhere to, you know, mow the lawn? Obviously, I mean, if you're gonna drive like 50 miles and they're paying you $600, you'll probably do it, but what is, like, just reasonably speaking?
The one in Federal Way is my farthest lawn. I haven't gone further than that because even if I did, I would bump up the price and I would try and get like multiple clients in the same area, so I don't have to like waste gas. I can like come to one place, mow 3 lawns, save some fuel. There's no really mile cap.
So, I mean, he lives in the Seattle area, so if you guys are in New York and want him to mow the lawn, I mean, if you pull up with $10,000, I'm sure he'll agree. So, if you want your lawn looking like a $2 million home type of lawn, reach out to this guy. I mean, you're gonna have to drop a bag, but it's gonna be worth it. I'm telling you, it's gonna be worth it. Do you think it's a good idea to use the client's lawnmower? If yes, why? If no, why? Just out of curiosity.
When I first got this client, he offered me to use his equipment, use his stuff. If you're just starting out, you could do that. Just know that not all clients will allow you to use their equipment.
Because it's a liability.
It's a liability. I don't know, I just enjoy using my equipment more. I know how it works, I know how to use it, so.
The second project was definitely a lot bigger than the first one. The property itself had a larger curb appeal, so it was important to not just mow the lawn,
but instead add a little bit of spice.
So we found this on one of my clients' lawns.
Someone trying to steal your business?
You already know. You know what we do to these kind of people?
What do we do? I mean, you don't gotta be so violent, man. This is a PG channel, come on. This project took twice as long as the first one, but it did end up paying twice as much as well. The next 2 projects were pretty self-explanatory. Both consisted of
Step 1, trim the edges. Step 2, mow the lawn. Step 3, sit on your phone for 1.
They took a total of 2 hours and 15 minutes and paid a total of $95. Mic check 1 1 2. I'm gonna do like Biaheza. I think I'm doing it correctly. And then the final project came, which was a little more complicated. Okay, no, it wasn't that complicated. What actually made it complicated was the steepness of the hill. In fact, most of the backyard was just a steep hill, and that's why it slowed down the process quite a bit. This client was actually also the one that asked us to take the debris with us just because they didn't have a bin for us. After about an hour worth of work, this project was finally complete for a total of $70. Mowing lawns is pretty labor intensive, and plus you're required to be equipped with the right equipment to get the job done. Besides having the right equipment, you also need transportation, which could be a little tough, especially if you're a teen and you're trying to make some extra cash during the summer. Scaling this into a full-grown business is quite possible. The only issue is with this business model is that it's very, very seasonal. So when winter comes around, you probably won't be going around mowing snow, but you could pivot into something more winter friendly like shoveling snow or potentially even like interior cleaning of a home. For the day we made a total of $255, and after considering all of the expenses, which was just mostly gas, we came out to around $230 in profit. With traveling from location to location, it took us a total of about 8 hours, so that brought our hourly rate to around $28 per hour. With all that said, is this a business that you might potentially want to try?